People always ask why some people never come home, why a light stays on in a window for days, untouched, why a dinner grows cold on the table, never eaten. I don't ask why, I just watch. I watch the way people hold on to the things that matter most. An old ring, a faded photograph, a charm bracelet with a name engraved on the back. I see the way their fingers linger, the way their eyes soften, the way their whole world seems to shrink down to that one object. That's when I know I've found the right one. I don't remember the first time I did it. Not really. The memory is a blur of rain on glass, the smell of wet earth, the hush that falls over a house when the lights go out. I remember the silence afterward, the way the world seemed to hold its breath. I remember standing in the middle of a stranger's living room, my hands shaking, my heart pounding, and seeing a small silver locket on the table. I picked it up, turned it over in my palm, and felt something click into place. It wasn't about the act itself, it was about what came after. I always leave the house the same way, quiet, careful, making sure no one will disturb the stillness I've created. The news will call it a tragedy, a mystery, a sudden absence. But I know better. I know what it means to leave a place truly empty. I take something from each place. Not money, not anything that could be replaced. Only what matters. Only what will be missed. I keep it with me for a while, turning it over in my hands, feeling the weight of it, the story behind it. Then, when the time is right, I leave it behind, at the next place, for the next person to find. A photograph from one house left on the nightstand in another. A ring from a trembling hand slipped into a kitchen drawer across town. Each object is a message, a thread connecting lives that would never have touched. Sometimes I wonder if anyone has noticed the pattern, if the police have started to connect the dots. The missing people, the silent houses, the strange objects found where they shouldn't be. I imagine them sitting in a room, faces drawn, voices low, trying to make sense of it all. I imagine them asking themselves what kind of person would do such a thing. I wonder if they realize how close they've come. But lately, things have changed. I've started to feel watched. There's a car that parks across from my building some nights, headlights off, engine ticking as it cools. There's a woman at the grocery store who always seems to be in the next aisle, never looking at me but never far away. I tell myself it's nothing, just nerves, but the feeling lingers. Last week, I made a mistake. I left a photograph in the wrong place. A house I'd never been to before, a family I didn't know. I realized it as soon as I closed the door behind me, but it was too late. Now, every time I close my eyes, I see that photograph, the faces smiling up at me, waiting to be found. I wonder what they'll think when they see it. Will they understand? Will they see the connection? Or will they just feel the loss, the gap where something used to be? Tonight, I have another place to visit. A quiet street, a house set back from the road, lights off, curtains drawn. I already know what I'll take, a charm bracelet, heavy with memories, tucked away in a jewelry box at the back of a closet. I already know what I'll leave behind, a ring, simple and worn, that once meant everything to someone else. The ritual is always the same, in and out, silent as a shadow, leaving only questions behind. But as I move through the house, careful not to disturb anything, I hear something, a creak on the stairs, soft but unmistakable. My heart stutters. I freeze, listening. Another creak, closer this time. Someone is here. I slip into the hallway, moving quickly but quietly, my mind racing. Did I miss something? Was there a car in the driveway I didn't see? I press myself against the wall, holding my breath, waiting. The footsteps stop. The house is silent again. I count to 10, then 20. Nothing. I tell myself it was just the house settling, and old floorboards shifting in the cold. But I don't believe it. I leave the way I came, careful not to make a sound. Outside, the air feels colder, heavier. I walk back to my car, glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see someone watching from the window. But the house is dark, silent. As I drive away, I can't shake the feeling that something has changed. The game is different now. The pieces are moving, and I'm not sure I'm the one in control anymore. The days after a visit are always the quietest. I move through the world as if nothing has changed, but I know better. There's a hush that settles over the places I've been, a silence that seeps into the walls and lingers in the air. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of it on the news. A neighbor's worried face, a family gathered on a porch, a reporter's voice lowered in respect. They use words like missing, vanished, no sign of struggle. They never say what really happened. They never mention the small, personal thing left behind, out of place, waiting to be found. I watch the coverage with a kind of detachment, as if I'm seeing someone else's story. The police stand in front of cameras, asking for tips, promising answers. They hold up photographs, describe routines, list the last known details. But they never talk about the objects. They never see the pattern. Only I know how each piece fits, how every absence is marked by something that once belonged to someone else. I keep a mental map of the places I've touched, the lives I've crossed. Each one is a point on a line, connected by the things I've carried from house to house. A ring from a trembling hand, a photograph from a dusty shelf, a bracelet from a wrist that will never wear it again. I remember the weight of each item, the way it felt to slip it into my pocket, the way the air seemed to change when I left. I remember the stillness, the certainty that no one would disturb what I'd done, not for hours, sometimes days. But lately the stillness is different. It's heavier, more watchful. I see unfamiliar cars parked on quiet streets, faces that linger a little too long in crowds. I hear footsteps behind me when I walk at night, soft and measured, never close enough to see. I tell myself it's just the price of the game, but I know the pattern is closing in. One evening, as dust settles over the city, I find an envelope waiting for me on my doorstep. Inside is a single item, a locket I left behind weeks ago, its chain tangled, its surface smudged with fingerprints that aren't mine. There's no note, just the cold weight of the metal in my hand. I turn it over, feeling the familiar click of the clasp, and realize someone has been following the trail. Someone has started to understand. I don't panic. I've always known this day would come. The pattern can only go unnoticed for so long. Still, I feel a thrill, a sharp electric jolt that runs through me. The game is changing. The rules are no longer mine alone. That night, I return to a house I visited long ago. The windows are dark, the mailbox overflowing, the grass grown wild. I let myself in, moving through the rooms with practiced ease. I bring with me a collection of things. The locket, the ring, the photograph, the bracelet. I arrange them on the kitchen table, a silent confession, a map of everything I've done. I want whoever is following me to see it all, to understand the connections, the meaning behind the absences. I don't hear the police until it's too late. The door bursts open, voices echoing down the hallway, footsteps pounding on the floor. I don't run. There's nowhere left to go. They find me standing in the kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of my work. They handcuff me, read me my rights, lead me out into the night. I see neighbors gathered on the sidewalk, their faces pale and silent. Some are crying. Others just stare. In the interrogation room, they ask me questions. How many? Why? What did it mean? I answer in my own way, talking about the objects, the connections, the way each life leaves a mark on the next. They want remorse, regret, a reason. I have none to give. Now I sit in a cell, the world outside moving on without me. There are no objects here, nothing personal, nothing to hold on to. Just the echo of footsteps in the hallway, the distant sound of keys turning in a lock. Sometimes I think I hear voices outside my door, whispering, asking why. But I don't answer. The game is over. The pattern is complete. I suppose this is what justice looks like. Silence, isolation, the end of the story. But even here, I find myself searching for meaning in the smallest things. The way the light falls on the floor, the rhythm of the guard's boots, the cracks in the wall. I wonder if someone will ever see the pattern, the invisible threads that tie us all together. The world forgets. The headlines fade. The objects are returned, or lost, or locked away as evidence. But I remember every one. I remember the way they felt my hand, the stories they carried, the lives they touched. I remember the game and the way it ended. Not with regret, not with redemption, but with the simple, inevitable consequence of being seen. And that, I think, is enough.